What's up YouTube, and welcome back to Homebrew Subaru. In this episode I'm going to install a new clutch master and slave into my WRX build. So what's up people? Last week a lot of boxes of parts started to arrive, so I am starting to think about doing installs, and today is going to be the clutch master and slave. So I did get a new master cylinder for the clutch and a slave cylinder, and I've had this braided line that I actually bought for the Nissan to try and get the handbrake plumbed in it, and I couldn't use it there, so I just figured, well, I'll hold on to it when I go to do some hydraulic clutch work on a Subaru, and well, here we are today. So I've got those three parts, and basically I'm just going to do the install, get it into the car. There's no sense of bleeding because there's no engine or clutch in the car anyway. Should be a relatively straightforward install, and I'm just going to kind of show you underneath the dash so you can kind of see how the clip comes up on the pedal, and then how it situates out here under the hood. And that's kind of going to be it for this week. Lots more parts have arrived though, and I'm going to start cleaning up some stuff in the meantime. But yeah, let's get on this stuff, get it installed, and then at least I'll have something done. So I am pretty confident the reason that the clutch didn't work good in this car is because of the master or slave or both. And it literally burned out a good clutch disc that was installed into this thing. The clutch disc, I could tell, was replaced. Didn't have a serious amount of abuse, but I could tell it probably wasn't being lifted completely off the flywheel. And the transmission, I really don't have any idea about how it's going to work and whether it's been affected by the clutch issue, but fingers crossed. So kind of first things first, these heater hoses, I'm just going to cut them off because I already cut them off the other end, and I'll just end up having to replace them. I may just try and get some regular heater hose to do that. But that's our master. Here's our slave, all unbolted, and the line that's in between. We want to retain the steel line, but it's going to have to be undone to get to fasten up to all the new stuff, and I'll have to go on the inside of the car to let go of the push rod that's on the clutch pedal so that the master can pull out of there. And I'll basically take a lot of this apart. This cable I'm going to take out of here at the same time probably. But yeah, I'll just go ahead and get this all out of the way, and I'll take you underneath the dash to kind of show you how that comes apart, and then we'll get some new parts installed. Okay, so I've already got the heater hoses undone. I decided to come into the footwell here. I've got this amp cable out of the way. I don't know how well the camera can pick up what I'm looking at without the light on it, but up here you can see this little clip needs to come out. As soon as it comes out, the pin will come out, and that whole attachment will come off this lever, and the push rod will go through the firewall. Has to be unbolted on the other side, but that's basically all it is holding it on here. You can see that there is an adjustment. Kind of hard to see anything, but there is an adjustment there that we can make after the fact. We get some hydraulic fluid back into it with a clutch. Back out here on the other side of the firewall, I've already taken the slave off. One bolt here and unthreaded the fitting. I'm just letting it drip down into my pan. I have undone the master's nuts on both sides, and I've loosened this fitting, and I've also gone ahead and loosened this bracket off that holds the steel line and the hose, and that way I can just kind of take all this off and work with it on the bench. But as it was draining, I kind of had a look down in here, and I have no idea what that is, but there's definitely some contamination in that brake fluid. Could even be a tiny bit of water in there. Yeah, it looks horrible. I'm glad I'm getting rid of this stuff. So I've gone ahead and pulled off all the old parts. I've got the new master installed and bolted on, and I've kind of got everything ready otherwise to go back in. I've got the steel line all undone and cleaned up, and I've got this, I think it's some type of proportioning valve or something, I'm not quite sure, dampener, but I've got the steel braided line onto that, so I can start fastening this bracket and just seeing how the hose is going to lay in there, because it's a little bit longer than the original hose, and then I can bolt in the slave and just kind of have everything resting there for when I go to bleed, when I get the clutch in. So I have managed to get the rest of the parts installed. I've just got the slave there temporarily, but you can see how things are arranged. One thing that I've had to do, and is very common, is when you use these braided lines, because they're made in China, they never ever pass through the factory brackets, and the clips never fit, and of course they don't provide you a new clip. So I've had to take my die grinder with a carbide bit and just open up the hole of the bracket a little bit so this fitting will pass through, and then the same on the clip. I've had to actually grind out the inner parts of it just so it'll go back down into place. But as long as you do something like that, you can see it's on there. The hose is a little bit longer, and it may need to be covered or fastened into a position where it's not going to be affected by anything. I mean, there's very little movement in here anyway, with your torque mount right there at the slave, but there is a tiny little vibration, so that's why they have a flexible line. So other than that, it's just literally putting fluid into it and bleeding it out when I get this thing all back together. But for now, that's pretty good. And another thing I'll probably end up doing is reusing the factory cap. I'll clean it up and just have it matching with the rest of them, kind of give it that OEM look. But like I said, I've got a lot of parts that have arrived, and I've just got to start cleaning up some stuff and organizing so I can start going back together and cleaning up and painting what I want. And yeah, so I'll probably be out here next weekend. And if you like this video, definitely give it a thumbs up, and if you're new here and you haven't already, please consider hitting that subscribe button for me. Leave your questions and comments further down below, and I'll see you in the next one.